Okay.
I am so lucky to have the opportunity to interview my guest for today. His name is Jensen Lipton. I have a mutual friend who introduced us, and I wanted to interview him as soon as I started having conversations with him. He's Jensen Lipton, retired in 2018 after 47 years as an estate appraiser and auctioneer. He played music for over 40 years at private events and the visitor industry. Guitar, bass, keyboard, sang melody through fourth harmony. He is, I mean, your musician, your business person, and has four adult children, three adult stepchildren, seven grandkids, and two step grandkids. And not only that, but Jensen cooks, he enjoys cruises, ballroom dancing, yard work. He is just, I told Lisa, you're my new hero because I think your age generation that a lot of us can learn because parents are stressing out and we don't know how to handle when kids make not so smart choices in our eyes. They just don't make good decisions. And I remember you were sharing some really good advice that I think parents can benefit from.
Well, Karen, first of all, to all of the people out there that will be so kind to listen to this, fantastic introduction.
It's
It's
all
all
you.
true. However, I'm not a child behavior expert, but I have, like I said, gone through and encountered many of the things that we talked about that other people out there are talking about. Is that how do you handle your children? You can't seem to get anywhere. And like I said, it just seems to at times get worse, never better. And then everybody ends up feeling so bad about the whole thing. Well, I'd like to share some of my thoughts about how I parented, how I encountered those things, and things that I tried to do that would avoid it.
Hmm.
I come from a family that had three boys, and I was the oldest. And I said, my people that I depended on how to parent started with my parents and
Hmm.
then my maternal uncles and aunties because they were instrumental in raising us kids too. And, like I said, other outside influences, whether it was friends or friends' parents or something that I saw or something that I read. But I realized that when the first child came along, I didn't know anything.
Hmm.
And after the fourth one came along, I still didn't know anything, especially because three of my children were girls and there were no girls in my family. And I have to thank my dear late mom because she always wanted girls and here she had the girls and she knew exactly what to do. I just couldn't identify with females the way they would feel. And to this day, as all men would tell you, is that I can't understand my girlfriend. I can't understand my wife. How you can understand your daughter? It's because we're on two different planets. But
Yes.
like I said, just thinking about it and thinking about it, and I'm saying that what starts to cause these problems? Like I said, it's a communication, but I believe that us parents, we behave in a manner that actually contribute to our children making these poor decisions because we're not reaching them in the right way. We're not opening that door, ringing that bell where all of a sudden they will listen to us. So, it's so what can we do? Well, I thought about it and I tried to identify and change or amend my behavior to avoid problems that would cause. It's like, for instance, I learned that once I said, why are we doing this? This is because I said so. I lost them.
Yes.
My mom did that to me. She lost me. So that wasn't the way that I was going to go. And I realized that there's no one way to raise children. When a child comes up, each one, it could be the same fact, it can even be twins. I have a cousin that has triplets.
Wow.
Each one is unique and it's individual. they have a lot of similarities, but they each have traits that are unique just to them. And like I said, what works in problem solving with one child maybe not work with the other one because it's not meaningful. And it's for us to immediately to identify this, and then it says, oh, okay, well, I used to do this with child A. That doesn't work on child B. I wonder if I have to do the opposite. And it's a matter of trial and error. It's we have to think about that. Like I said, again, there's no one way, and what works for one may not work for another. And like I said, I think that another thing that I see, especially in the generations now, parents, for some reason, it's just like they don't take accountability or responsibility for their children. They're going to blame the policeman. They're going to blame the teacher. Hey, it started at home.
Mm.
That's where you have to start addressing this. I said, your kids are a reflection about what they see at home. They're a reflection of you. And he says, and I think that if we realize that, and it's not for blame purposes, it's a matter of
Mm-hmm.
how can we change what we're doing so that our children don't get these mixed and confusing messages. So as I'm trying to read for this there, and he said that while we're responsible for our children's behavior, at a certain age, the children, they need to learn and realize that they're responsible also for their behavior and the consequences that may come. We can only do so much. We can't be the savior for everything in the world, especially for our children. And as
Mm-hmm.
soon as we realize that, I think that we don't spend so much time on that, but we try to channel our energies to get into situations or promote a way of thinking, a way of behavior so that we can avoid these things here. And again, so we're looking at trying, realizing that all of our children are different.
Mm-hmm.
Not methods will always be the same, and that we're responsible for them. Behavior, yeah, also for their well-being, their values and things that they need to know, they need to learn to grow up to be, well, shall we say, well-adjusted people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I see in the very beginning. I don't know if that's making sense. It's like we're just reassessing it, of how we're going to attack this type of parenting. Uh, I think I have my own style of parenting. We all do. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
we've learned from all these other influences, but we have our own interpretations about what we want to do, and I asked myself too over occasion, it says, well, what do I want in life for my
Mm-hmm.
children? Also realizing that too, that just what I want for my children, that may not what they want. You see, there's a double-edged sword
Yeah.
there. And always got to be careful about that. I said, well, growing up, talking to other parents over the years, I think that most parents always want to provide a better life for their children than the ones that they had growing up.
Yes.
And what does that mean? What's a better life? Well, the most obvious thing is, and I think this is a mistake, is providing material things. Yes, let's say that you can have a dress for your prom. Okay, you can get the family car a little earlier than I did when I was a young man. And I said, but it can't the focus of providing a better life. It cannot just be material things. I think that sometimes we pursue the material things so much that we forget that what goes hand in that is teaching them life's lessons.
Yes.
What are life's lessons? All of the things that they're going to need to go through life. What is right? What is wrong? If I do this, what's going to happen? Who's going to pay for this? You know, uh, support, whether it's acceptance or, like I said, disdain for what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Things are like this. This is what I call life lessons. Um, I had thought further and I said, okay, higher education. Yeah, everybody wants to send their kids to school. But my number two daughter, what was not in, she didn't like school. And it was very evident from the time she went into her freshman year at KCC. I mean, it's just like, oh, did you go at all? Or were you outside at Rainbow Drive and having played lunch with your friends? I don't know. And I said, but again, it was evident that some of my children were following their own paths already. So education, like I said, sometimes parents they want their friends, their child to hang out with more acceptable friends. Well,
Yes.
okay. Now, let's say the friends come from a different ethnic background. I mean, when I was growing up, I said a lot of times my Japanese friends, they weren't allowed to play with Haoles or Chinese. The
Wow.
parents are saying, "Oh, gotta be Japanese." You
Oh
know,
my goodness.
yeah. I mean, I asked this when my daughter started dating. What would I do? How would I feel if my daughter came home with a black man? Because I had no contact with black people, so I didn't know. I just the stereotypes that we see on TV and
Mm-hmm,
movies and everything. And I promised myself, and I said, you know what? I pride myself in trying not to have too many biases. And
mm-hmm.
I'll be doggone if I'm going to judge somebody by the color of his skin and his religion. Hell, I'm a Catholic. I don't know if you know the jokes about Catholic. We are the most persecuted people. We know how to feel bad about everything because we're constantly told that, and knock on wood, it never came to pass where I just say, I don't like this guy because I was biased against them. How about spouses? Yeah, because I'm carrying the gamut from our children as they were born to growing up to teenage into adulthood. Since my children are all adults, and I said,
Yes.
um, I had an opportunity to meet a spouse very briefly. The marriage did not work out, but I didn't like him from the start. But could I tell my daughter that? No, that was her choice, and I had to stand by her choice, whether I liked it or
Wow. Was
not.
that hard to
Yeah.
do?
Yes and no, and he really took advantage of her, and it ended up where my mom and I, both individually and together, we had to spend a lot of money to bail her out, and she paid financially for that divorce and short marriage for years to
No,
come.
but was it hard for you to not be biased regarding, like, you knew that I think that's what's hard on a lot of parents. I always tell my daughter, if I had a feeling whether, the marriage would work out, she's only 24, would she want me to tell her? And she was like 10 at the time. She's like, yes, mom, I want to tell you. But, as a parent, I don't think that I agree with you. You shouldn't dictate or tell your child, nope, that guy's not for you. But on the other hand, what if you found out like there's abuse? What if you found out that you
Mm.
just don't like the guy? What do you
I
what do you
think that
do?
this is a situation where, as we say, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Right.
But if it's something serious, uh, physical spousal abuse, and the abuse can also be mental and
Mental
emotional too.
abuse. Yeah.
Yes, uh, drugs or
Yeah.
other illegal activity. Now we're talking about the safety and well-being of your child. And as a parent, I would say something. And I said, and I would present it in such a way. I said, I'm sorry to tell you this because this thing could blow up in my face come down the road. But it's because I love you and I care about you. And I says, and I don't think that you can really see what's happening. If you are, then something is preventing you from making the correct move in your life. I said, I'm valuing your safety.
Hmm.
This is how I would present my argument or statements to her. And I says, I can't make you do something over there, but I live in fear, and I know you are too, and it's all right. We all make mistakes. I'm here to support you. Remember, I didn't say help.
Wow.
I'm here to support you.
Support.
Yes. Yeah. And I says, and I will do what I can to support you. That's what I would do for that. And that's a good question because basically, um, my daughter did escape and is in a wonderful marriage now of 20 years.
So what if it's not safety, but I don't know, you just don't like the mother doesn't like the potential son-in-law, the
Yeah.
father doesn't like the potential
I think that
daughter-in-law.
for me, I would not broach it. I can't find a way to broach it without making me look like the all-time boogeyman. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, and you're going to open up more problem doors than you would by solving them.
So you're
I said,
just choosing peace, and then whatever happens, if it ends in divorce or if it ends in regret, then you know
then
that,
you end it, then you support. You know, if they
right.
ask you come down the road and this happens, they conveniently forget where they told you to be. Then they says, how come you never said anything? How come you weren't there to help me? And you said, well, I said, I was asked not to say anything, but I was always there and supporting you. I was there for you. You just couldn't see it because you are. You care. You know. You just you can't help that. I mean, no matter how bad things are. One thing that my late mom always taught me, and she said, treasure your family, even if you don't agree with them or get around with them, because in this world you can have all the money that you want. You can have all the material things. I said, you can do anything you want, but without your family, you don't have anything. And I never realized what that meant until in my later years. Your family is everything. It's important. And it tears me apart to see families that are at odds with one another. And in my
Hmm.
job as an estate appraiser, I used to see that all the time.
Oh,
Money.
you must have seen
Yeah.
crazy things.
But just going along about things that what I thought I would want in life for my children,
Hmm.
acceptable employment. I mean, uh, good goals in life for themselves. Well, how does a parent help the children achieve these goals? I mean, and then are the goals realistic? But more important, and this is the one here where we put ourselves, are the goals for the children's benefit or for yours? It's like the little league coach play. He's living through those children over there, the game. I said, we call it living vicariously. So I
Hmm.
think whatever we want to do for our children, it's got to be meaningful for them. That's what's number one important. And if we leave it around the other way, where it's important to us, we're always going to feel guilty about something that they don't do because we missed the boat for the beginning. It's supposed to be for them.
Wow. So I had a really curious question about the daughter that didn't the KCC thing was because that's what's happening a lot with distance learning, and kids are just not making their parents happy because they're not doing the work, or they're
Mhm.
not doing what the parents, like you said, it is the parents, I guess, dream and expectation. How does a mom deal with it could be just disappointment, frustration when their kids, school age kids, especially
Mhm.
teenagers, don't do what they feel should be done, like academically. How do you let
Okay.
go of that?
Well, again, one has to realize that, and you remember when we were young, never forget that you were their age. And what were you doing? Well, maybe you were like me. You were the all responsible one, never did anything wrong. But I didn't have straight A's. And did I like school? Uh, I can't say that school was my most meaningful part of life, but my daughter showed this behavioral pattern as she went through high school. I mean, she wasn't a D student; she was a B student. But
Hmm.
that wasn't where her interest and energies were. Where were they? Well, half the time when I would try to ask her, she says, "Oh, so what you up to?" And I say, I don't get any straight answer.
Yeah.
Like dad's prying. He's trying to find out if I'm fooling around or doing something wrong. But I could see that the direction was there. So when she went to KCC and she went for like 3 semesters plus, I could see we wasn't getting anywhere. And I was happy enough where I had created an atmosphere where she was able to be honest with me. She says, Dad, I don't really like school. I never really have liked school. I said, yes, I understand that. I said, I thought that we talked about this and that you realize that education will provide for you a better living wage than if you didn't have any skills. But let me hear what you're saying. He said, Dad,
Hmm.
I want to go join the workforce for a while. I said, what would you do? And he says, well, I've been working since I was 16. And he says, in the last 2 years, I've also been working at a sports bar as a cocktail waitress. And I can do that and support myself for the time being until I feel like, what do I want to do with my
Hmm.
life? And I said, you know, you can put your heart and soul like that. I said, number one, that you would approach me. and talk to me like this. I gotta listen to what you're saying, you know? So I said, please do. And if you need help, I said, you know, I'm here for you. I'll do what I can. And I said, but you have to live your life too. That I understand. So what did she do? To this day, basically, she's a cocktail waitress and she's 48 and she's senior and standing in the bar staff at the Marriott Beach Club in Colina. And
Wow.
she just started working again this Saturday after being furloughed since March because of the COVID virus. If you were to watch her do her job and like you said, communicate with the visitors, the tourists, you know, I'm just totally amazed. I mean, she's Miss Joe Aloha. She's found the niche in life. Okay, so she doesn't have a college degree. And I says, but man, with the service and the job that she does, I couldn't be prouder of her. You know, I mean, she knew. You know, that's the way it is. I mean, my younger daughter ended up getting a 2 years nurse's degree. It took her 3, 4 times to pass the state test, but she did it, and she's following that dream. My son, he's the number 3. He went to college. He got there on basically almost a full scholarship in those days, and he had a degree in biology, and he wandered around for 2 years working odd jobs anywhere from uh, an auto parts store to even Burger King.
Hmm.
And he just didn't know where he was going, and then he wanted to get into a state job for the state of Minnesota. We call it Department of Land and Natural Resources here. Over there,
Hmm.
they just call it Department of Natural Resources. And I told him, I said, son, this is how you do it. I says, and not because I've done it, but because of my friends. Just get into the government. When they have openings, you can do the lateral, the vertical, versus
Hmm.
trying to come in from the outside. You already in.
Right.
And he did it. And within a year and a half, now he just celebrated 20 years with the DNR.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's supporting your child's passion without putting your dreams on them.
Yes, because the thing is, you're doing what you have to believe in your children. I mean, you raised them. You said, you know, I mean, no one's going to be perfect. We weren't perfect. We can't expect our kids to be perfect. So I said, are they realistic goals? And whose goals are they? Are they our kids or are they ours? Because that's not fair. Our kids got to live their own life. Well, we're supposed to just prepare them for that journey. That's all we're supposed to do. You know, and judging them, I said, well, you know, we're human beings. Yeah, we will. But the thing is, just support them. You know, whether they're wrong. You know, and like I said, and you shouldn't carry that guilt because you're supporting them. You know, guilt is because you did something wrong. Well, you didn't do anything wrong. They made that choice. Okay, that was their decision. It had nothing to do with you.
Wow, that statement alone, I think it just makes me feel less stressed too, because I think I don't know if it's just a mother, how you're talking about dads versus moms. I was just doing research today, we carry so much guilt. And if they said it's kind of like biologically wired as a mother, because dads, I don't know if you just have that, I don't know if it's a trust or you just don't feel personally responsible. I mean, I'm sure some dads do, but I think
Mhm.
that's what stresses us out because,
You know,
you know,
what you're saying is that I've been told that by several other women that I've known. Not, I just know. I wasn't, but it's that you have this biological attachment because you had the baby in you for the 9 months, and then you, like I said, you gave birth to the baby and you nursed her, whatever. You were the one. You had that biological uh, basis that us men. Well, yeah, we have a biological basis to saying that. Well, half of that is my family, by blood and DNA, but we don't have that biological, like I said, a bond as you girls do. But whether or not that works for you or against you, that's an individual decision. But to me, I would just take it just as that. It doesn't mean that you're extra responsible versus your husband.
Right. Well, that's why, like, my whole mission is to really help moms just save their sanity and not take 100% responsibility. All these moms during the distance learning, every single one of them are so
Mhm.
frustrated that their kids are like falling asleep or not logging on or not turning in assignments. And then even me, right? My daughter's just a freshman. First daughter was, I guess education was her thing, even though she did struggle. And then the next one, yeah. So it's like, so different. I'm thinking,
Yes.
at first I thought, what did I do wrong? Because they're both my daughters, but what you just said, at like triplets, right? No matter what, you
They're going to be
can't.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when you just said that. I'm like, that's why it didn't work. I'm like, why am I failing? But I wasn't failing. I guess, what did you say? You just have to connect with them in a different way, right? Connect with them.
Try to find that way. And you know what? You may not find that way, but wherever you were that wasn't working, at least you're not there anymore.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I have to say, because I'm thinking, okay, that doesn't work. Okay, that doesn't work. And lately I'm thinking, a lot of moms are like, nothing is working. But like you said, just support then. Maybe
Right.
that's all we need to do, just support.
Well, again, what I did, my style of parenting, I began to listen more than being a dictator. I said I listened to what the situation was. Well, of course, when they were young, parenting basically is dictatorial. You're telling them what to do because they don't
Right,
know any
right.
better, and they don't have the ability to rationalize with you. But as they got older, I listened, to their problems and their points of view. And I asked them I said, do you have a solution on how we should do this? And if it was plausible, sometimes I said, okay, let's do it. I was willing to take a chance. Because, like I said, at that point in time, we are responsible for our children because, they're minors in the eyes of the law, but still, we realize that they don't have enough life experiences to make a more rounded choice, whereas we do, although we know we don't have all the answers. But I also had to, uh, if they're the answer that they gave, the solution they gave really, really was kind of like not there. They were just throwing something out there just to try and get out of it, and
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, tell me how you arrived at that and how you feel it's going to solve something. And of course, if their argument was all wet, it never did. They couldn't because they know that they were trying to pull the wool over dad's eyes and that wasn't going to work, But then children get into this situation too. They can, like, you got to explain everything to them. Well, you can explain that you want, but you have to also explain to the child or your children at some point in time, and it says, especially if they still live with you, that, we're not on equal ground. I'm your mother. You are my daughter. And I says, the day that you are out paying your own bills, taking care of your own self, then we're on almost equal ground. But we will never be on equal ground because I am your mother, I am your parent. And I says, and you will understand this when you have your own children.
Oh, my mom used to always say that. You
Yeah.
wait till you're a mom. And I thought, why
Now,
is
wait
she
till you get
saying
your
that?
own. Wait
Yeah,
till you get your own. But that is true. And
it
there's
is
no way
true.
around that. Yeah, like I said, I didn't find anything that I could actually use not to believe that. That is true. Because, and it goes on, it's like, part of our duty, which I think we also don't do a good job of. Yeah, here we are providing the material things, but we don't teach them about the real world. And the real world at times can be very cruel. It can be
Yeah.
very unfair. I talked to you about a domino effect.
Oh,
Where
yes. Yeah, describe
I had
that.
to explain to my oldest daughter, she was involved in this project and whatever. It involved a lot of people and she put a lot of time and extra effort in, trying to make it a good thing. And she didn't get the response that she thought. And she was pretty devastated by it. She said, Dad, I put all the time, I put so much of myself into this. And I said, this is life, honey. Sometimes life is very unfair, very uncouth. It's like you put all the dominoes, they're all lined up and they're supposed to fall and it doesn't fall all the way down. It happens. You got
Yeah.
to realize that this will happen. And it'll happen more often than you want it to, and always at the worst possible time. You can accept that. I said, then you can go on with it. But if you can't accept it, you'll still be stuck over there for the rest of your life, and you're spending all of this negative energy. It will happen. So what do? Like your grandma used to tell me, says, you pick it up and you go on with life. That's all. I said, just let those dominoes fall over there and go on. Go do something else, find somebody else that's more meaningful to you. And I said, and it's really hard to see your child basically like fail or whatever, and you can't do
Yes,
anything.
yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, that's not your fault. And
But
you
I
got
think
to,
that's what moms have to, because everyone's saying, what can I do? When they come to me, it's like, what am I doing wrong? What can I do? I want to prevent him failing. I want to prevent her from making stupid mistakes. But I like the way you said it's not, we're responsible for them, but not for, like you said, at a certain point, do you believe like in natural consequences, right? Because
yeah,
you are not responsible for them not studying or for them not
right.
being.
Well, again, there's that fine line that we're always walking. The thing is, we're trying to avoid feeling guilty because we're not
Yes.
we're not the source and the cause of the guilt. Okay, that's what we got to get over. And they said, and as long as we let our children know that we love them and accept them unconditionally, but we don't want to be a doting parent either. And some of that is that we're doing everything for them, or I think the term today they use like helicopter parent.
Helicopter parent. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never heard that before, but like I said, we have to let our children live their lives, and that means making mistakes. Hopefully, the mistakes are small mistakes. But as I used to tell my children, you think you did something wrong, okay? If it's a biggie, don't don't wait. Come tell me immediately, because if you tell me immediately, maybe we can do something to alleviate it or solve it. But if you tell me too late, then sometimes there is no alternative, and we're all going to pay the price. And that price may not be really nice that we want to be paying. It's with that line being said, I have unconditional love for my children, but I saw this firsthand where I had a nephew who unfortunately got mixed up in drugs for most of his life. And my late mom really tried to turn him around. I mean, she gave him chance after chance after chance. And I was there one day when he came in, and, he definitely he didn't do what he was supposed to do. And my mom got him put him down on the side, and I said, Jensen, you stand here. I don't know whether that was protection or whatever, but she just said, I pray for you every day. I love you. I said, I try to show you the right way. And it says, I said, but you're constantly doing all of this stuff. So I'm going to tell you this once, and that's all I'm going to tell you. I said, I love you, but today I just don't like you. And I said, to me, that was powerful. I said,
Very
wow.
powerful.
I said, how can my mom, I never heard her say a bad word or do a bad thing in her entire life, but she just told my nephew, in her own way, how we would say, up yours.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, I said, I love you unconditionally, but today for the things you do, I just don't like you. I mean,
Very
so,
powerful.
yeah, and I think that, when you really get to that point, things are really kind of gotten out of hand. But it's always good to know in the back of your mind that I love my children unconditionally. But yeah, but sometimes they're going to do something that, quite frankly, today I just don't like it too well. And I think that helps you to get over whatever humps that they might have. It's. I wish I had more things to say, but it's tough. I said I think that as far as the parenting, where you're trying to raise your children so that they don't make these mistakes, faux pas, whatever. If they do, then it's not really bad. I said we have to realize that we're the role models. Our children are going to imitate whatever they see at home. whatever we do, whatever we see, whatever we say, and like I said, realize that our behavior speaks more than all the printed books on child raising or lectures or scoldings that you can give your kids, to our kids, when they see us. In other words, we're not only talk the talk, we're walking the talk.
Yeah, that's the hard one.
Yeah, it's not that hard if you get into it. Because the thing is like I said, we realize what we're doing for our children.
Yeah.
And isn't that what parenting is about? And like I said, we got to learn to take tough steps too. It's like I said, we're supposed to know better because of our life experiences. But then again, I opened up a lot of questions tonight by just saying, hey, did you consider this? Did you consider this?
I like that.
Or this is the only way I know. So now somebody else is saying, hey, consider doing that. Wow. That's earth shattering for me. I got to really sit and think about it. So what happens if I do this? Maybe you'd be surprised is that all of a sudden, your child, instead of doing the deaf ear to you, he says, I'm interested to hear how you really feel about this. I said, how is it affecting you? Don't worry about how I'm feeling. I'm more concerned about how this is affecting you. Is there anything that you think that you can do to make it better, or anything that maybe I can assist or dad can assist? Don't stay away from that word help.
Right, I like that. Support.
Yes, I support you to enact this change that you really wouldn't do. It's and I think that I use that domino effect about how my daughter had put all that time and effort and it didn't come out. Us parents, we're also subject to the domino theory.
Yes.
We can do everything that is right, and it just crashes the wrong way, And I said, shouldn't feel guilty about it. And I'm going to close my part by actually reiterating a statement that you made just a few minutes ago, is that we have to realize that no one, especially ourselves, can control the world or a person's behavior all the time. We got to believe that.
Yeah.
So that tells you you're not responsible for it. You can't get away from being responsible for your children, but it doesn't mean that you carry that guilt of what they're doing. I said, if anything, we should be there supporting them through that. And that's how that alleviates, if I had bad feelings or thinking I was starting to feel guilty, I'm right in there with them. They're not suffering by themselves.
Wow. See, this was the most powerful interview, I think, because I don't know, all of us, myself included, we feel guilt, we feel shame, we feel like we're not good enough, as a mom. But when you said it so clearly, where we're there to support, but we are not there to like fix it. We're not there to be responsible for bad choices.
We're not there to carry their guilt,
Yeah. Oh, I love that. We are not there to carry their guilt.
Well,
Wow.
it was more than 15, 20 minutes.
Well, thank you. You know what? It was worth it because I have I can do a whole chapter on this. I'm in the middle of writing this book, 100 parenting tips, but I think I'm going to replace some of those with what you said, because that's what's causing so much stress on us moms, especially these days with the distance learning. I mean, it's like, and I feel responsible too with
we just
college
talked about
freshmen.
that watching the news this evening. I said, how to be a parent right now. Wow. I said, the only other thing I thought that could be worse, and I also did that, was run my own business at this particular time.
That's right. That's right.
I'm very honored that you would ask me to come and speak with you on parenting. I wish I was a better parent at times too, but I did the best I can. And the thing is, I realized I didn't have all the answers, and I needed, maybe it was almost like running a business, like business management. You need to work together.
Oh, I
You
like
can't
that
just be, I spoon feed
perspective.
you and you just go yes, yes, no, no. We need to work together.
But see, that's what makes you such a good dad, because I think very few parents don't feel that, you know what, I'm the expert, I lived longer, listen to me because you just don't know. And it's something that's such a default because maybe we were raised that way. And I know some parents are like, you know what, if what I say goes, that's it, because they live under my roof. But then, like you said, they're hearing, they just cut you off, right?
The
They just
child will
cut you
just
off.
turn on. The thing
Yeah.
is, how do you reach a child that's turned off already? Offer to listen to what he has to say. Sincerely. Listen to what he has to say. You might learn something. You know,
Perfect way to end. Well, thank you. So sorry for taking up so much of your time, but you have like just tons of wisdom that I think, I don't think it's because it's a generational thing. I think, I don't know, your mom either did a really good job, or your life experiences maybe led you to be open-minded. I think that's what it is, being open-minded and not carrying the guilt. So I'm
there
going
you
to
go.
practice that. I'm going to release the guilt.
Oh, okay. Well, I expect a call from you by saying, "Well, I don't feel so guilty today."
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Jensen. I'll talk to you
Thank you.
later.
All
Okay.
righty. Bye bye. Have a nice
Bye.